Hello there, and welcome to the AstroSleep channel. I am so glad you found your way here. If you have arrived here tonight, it is likely that the world feels a little too loud, or perhaps your own mind is still humming with the energy of the day. We often think of sleep as a simple switch, a moment where we turn off the lights and disappear. But for many of us, especially those who sleep lightly, the journey into rest is not always a straight path. It can feel like walking through a forest where every snapping twig or rustling leaf calls for our attention. Tonight, we are not going to fight that awareness. Instead, we are going to gently guide it toward a place of deep, scientific wonder. We are going to explore the science of sleep, but not through cold charts or clinical data. We will look at biology as if it were a form of ancient poetry. We will view the mechanisms of your body not as machines, but as the quiet, rhythmic tides of a vast ocean. There is a profound comfort in understanding how we rest. When we learn how our cells synchronize with the rotation of the earth, and how our brains tend to the gardens of our memory while we dream, we realize that sleep is not just an absence of wakefulness. It is a complex, beautiful, and active embrace by nature itself. For the light sleepers, the watchful souls, and the midnight thinkers, this journey is for you. We will reframe your alertness not as a flaw, but as a lingering echo of an ancient instinct, a guardian that we can now thank and relieve of its duty. We are here to drift into the knowledge that your body knows exactly how to heal, how to reset, and how to carry you safely through the night. We are simply here to remind it of that ancient skill. If these calm, curious explorations help you unwind, I invite you to like or subscribe. It helps other sleepy souls find their way here too. And now, you have nothing to do but rest. The day has finished its course, and the responsibilities that once demanded your energy have now dissolved into the shadows. You are in a safe, quiet space where the only requirement is to exist. Let your mind relax, allowing the thoughts to drift away like leaves on a slow-moving river. Let your breathing slow down, finding its own natural, unhurried rhythm. Feel your body grow light, as if gravity itself has softened, releasing its hold on your shoulders, your hands, and your eyelids. We are ready to drift into the science of the night. Let's begin. Deep within the quiet machinery of your being, there is a silent, invisible rhythm that pulses through every single cell of your body. A tempo that has been ticking since the very beginning of life. We often believe that we are the ones who decide when to sleep and when to wake, that we are in control of our schedules and our rest. But science reveals that we are guided by a far more ancient power, a biological tide that rises and falls in perfect synchronization with the turning of the planet. This is the circadian rhythm, a 24-hour cycle that functions not merely as a clock, but as a grand, internal symphony, where every instrument knows exactly when to play its soft, melodic note. It is a profound realization that even in our modern lives, we are still tethered to the movement of the sun and the moon, drifting on a physiological sea that has carried our ancestors for millions of years. As we drift deeper into this understanding, we find that this rhythm is orchestrated by a tiny, luminous cluster of cells deep within the brain, known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. Located just above the crossing of the optic nerves, this master clock receives the subtle signals of light and darkness from the world outside. It is the watchful guardian of your time, a silent lighthouse keeper that observes the position of the sun and whispers instructions to the rest of your body. when the light of the day begins to fade and the shadows lengthen across the floor. This guardian does not sound an alarm, but rather begins a gentle, cascading process of winding down. It is a comforting thought to know that deep inside your mind, there is a part of you that is always connected to the cosmos, a biological compass that always knows where the sun is, even when your eyes are closed. There is a beautiful chemical transition that occurs as this master clock perceives the onset of twilight. As the blue light of the day dissolves into the warm hues of evening, the brain signals the pineal gland to begin its nightly work. This small pinecone-shaped structure, tucked deep in the center of the brain, begins to release a hormone called melatonin into your bloodstream. Melatonin is often called the hormone of darkness, but we might better think of it as a velvet curtain being slowly drawn across the stage of your consciousness. It is not a switch that forces you to sleep, but rather a chemical lullaby, a signal to every organ and muscle that it is safe to rest. This substance flows through you like a darkening river, washing away the sharpness of alert thought and replacing it with a soft, fuzzy warmth. It is the body's way of dimming the lights, inviting you to let go of the external world and turn your attention inward to the quiet landscape of dreams. And still, the body has more ways to prepare you for this journey into the night. As the melatonin levels rise, carrying the message of sleep to the furthest reaches of your limbs, your core body temperature begins to drop. During the height of the day, when we are active and engaged, our internal heat is high, burning with the energy of doing and thinking. But as the evening progresses, the body sheds this heat, releasing it through the skin of your hands and feet, cooling the core in a slow, deliberate descent. This cooling is essential for the deepest stages of sleep, acting like the earth itself cooling down after a long, sun-drenched summer day. You can imagine this sensation as a stone settling slowly to the bottom of a cool, clear lake, the heat of the surface left far above. It is a physical surrender, a loosening of the energy that held you upright, allowing you to sink into the cool, refreshing depths of restoration. This internal tide does not just affect your brain and your temperature, it reaches into the very rhythm of your digestion and your heart. When the circadian rhythm signals that night has truly arrived, the digestive system slows its pace, understanding that there is no need to consume or process energy. The stomach quiets its churning, and the liver shifts its function from processing nutrients to a mode of gentle repair and detoxification. It is as if the busy marketplace of the body has closed its shutters for the night. The bustling crowds have gone home, and only the sweepers remain, quietly cleaning the streets under the light of the moon. This is why a light calmness settles in the belly when we truly relax, a signal that the fires of metabolism have been banked, leaving only glowing embers to keep us warm through the long night. We also find that the heart, that tireless drum in the center of your chest, begins to change its beat as the tide of sleep rolls in. During the day, the heart must pump vigorously against the gravity of standing and the stress of moving, but at night, the pressure eases, blood pressure lowers, and the heart rate slows to a steady, rhythmic thrum, mimicking the slow, rolling waves of a calm ocean. This cardiovascular dip is a time of profound rest for the heart muscle itself, a period where the demands are lifted and the engine can idle in a state of peaceful efficiency. To feel your own pulse slowing down is to feel the body trusting in its safety, knowing that it does not need to be ready to run or fight, but only to exist and to heal. It is a rhythmic assurance that you are safe, held in the gentle embrace of your own biology. This entire system, this complex interplay of hormones, temperature, and heart rate, is a testament to the fact that you are a creature of nature. We often feel separated from the natural world by our walls and our screens, but inside we are still wild things, synchronized with the rotation of our planet. Every time you feel your eyelids grow heavy, you are feeling the pull of the Earth's rotation, the ancient signal that the sun has moved to the other side of the world. It is a shared experience with every other living thing. The flowers that close their petals, the birds that cease their singing, and the animals that retreat to their burrows are all obeying the same silent command that flows through your veins. There is a deep, abiding loneliness that vanishes when we realize we are sleeping in unison with the entire hemisphere, part of a vast, breathing collective that inhales the light and exhales into the darkness. And even the way we wake is part of this grand design. Though tonight we focus on the descent, but it is worth knowing that this cycle is a circle, not a line. Just as the tide goes out, it is destined to return. The body knows that rest is not an end, but a preparation. The drop in temperature, the release of melatonin, the slowing of the heart, all of these are the gathering of strength. They are the pulling back of the bowstring, so that the arrow may fly true tomorrow. But for now, the bow is at rest. There is no tension, only the potential for energy that is currently sleeping. We do not need to worry about the morning, for the morning is taken care of by the same automatic intelligent system that is currently guiding you into sleep. You can trust the cycle. You can trust the tide. You can let go of the need to monitor the time, for your body is the timekeeper, and it knows exactly what to do. In this deep state of synchronization, even your breathing aligns with the slower tempo of the universe. The rapid, shallow breaths of the day, often driven by the need to speak or to rush, give way to a deeper, more abdominal rhythm. The diaphragm moves with the ease of a sail catching a gentle breeze, filling the lungs and emptying them with no effort at all. This breath is the anchor that holds you in the present moment of rest. It is the sound of the ocean inside you, the ebb and flow that rocks the cradle of your consciousness. With each exhalation, the body releases a little more of the day's tension, and with each inhalation, it draws in the peace of the night. It is a continuous exchange with the atmosphere, a silent conversation where you say nothing, and the night answers with calm. As we continue to float on this internal tide, we can acknowledge that sometimes, for light sleepers, this rhythm can feel fragile. We might worry that the signal is too weak, or that the world is too loud. But the truth is, this rhythm is robust. It is etched into your DNA, stronger than any temporary disturbance. Even if you drift towards the surface of wakefulness, the tide is always there, waiting to pull you back down into the depths. You do not have to force it. You only have to yield to it. Like a swimmer floating on their back, you do not need to swim to stay afloat. You only need to trust the water. The water of your own biochemistry is buoyant and supportive, capable of carrying you through the darkest hours until the light returns. So, as we conclude this first part of our journey into the science of sleep, we rest in the knowledge of the internal tide. We are not static beings, but fluid, moving in time with the cosmos. We are governed by a benevolent, silent clock that asks nothing of us but to listen to its quiet ticking. We are washed by chemical waves that cleanse and cool, preparing us for the renewal of tomorrow. And in this knowledge, there is peace. There is the understanding that sleep is not something you have to catch or conquer, but a natural state that rises within you, as inevitable and as beautiful as the night itself. As we surrender to the internal tide, allowing the current of our biology to carry us away from the shore of wakefulness, we begin a slow and deliberate descent into the architecture of sleep itself. We often imagine sleep as a single, monolithic state of darkness, a place where nothing happens until morning. But science tells us that sleep is actually a structured journey, a series of distinct chambers that we visit in a rhythmic cycle throughout the night. It is not unlike diving into a deep, vast ocean where we pass through different layers of water, each with its own pressure, its own light, and its own unique way of healing us. We are now drifting past the surface, leaving the air and the noise behind, beginning the gentle immersion into the depths of our own consciousness. The first layer we encounter on this descent is the lightest stage of sleep, a borderland known to scientists as NREM Stage 1. This is the delicate threshold between being awake and being asleep, a twilight zone where the mind begins to untether itself from reality. In this phase, your brain waves begin to slow down, shifting from the rapid, busy alpha waves of relaxation. It is a moment of release, where thoughts lose their linear structure and begin to float like disparate images in a stream. You might experience the sensation of falling, a sudden, gentle drop that startles the body for a brief second. While this can feel surprising, it is simply the sensation of your muscles letting go of their tension too quickly, a physical sign that you are truly surrendering to gravity. It is the body's way of checking that it is safe to completely relax, a final, fleeting handshake with the waking world before letting go of the dog completely. As we sink deeper, passing through that initial mist, we enter the second layer of the ocean, known as NREM Stage 2. This is where we spend the majority of our night, a vast, tranquil suspension where the outside world truly begins to fade away. In this stage, the brain does something remarkable to protect your rest. It generates short, rhythmic bursts of electrical activity called sleep spindles. These spindles act like sentries at the gate of your consciousness, actively blocking out sensory information from the environment. They are the reason you can sleep through the sound of rain against the window or the distant hum of traffic. We can visualize these spindles not as technical signals, but as thousands of tiny, invisible weavers knitting a cocoon of silence around your mind. They are crafting a barrier of peace, ensuring that your journey downward is not disturbed by the trivial noises of the surface. In this quiet, suspended state of Stage 2, the body continues its work of cooling and slowing. The heart rate settles into an even deeper, more steady rhythm, and the muscles lose almost all of their tone. It is a state of perfect neutrality, where the body asks for nothing and gives nothing, simply existing in a suspended animation of recovery. If you were to look at the brainwaves here, they would look like the gentle lapping waves of a calm lake, consistent and soothing. This stage is the bridge, the long, peaceful corridor that leads us away from the light sleep and prepares us for the profound depths that lie waiting below. It is here that we truly leave the day behind, shedding the last remnants of our conscious self, like a diver shedding their weight belt to sink further into the blue. And then we reach the bottom. We enter the deepest, most restorative phase of all, known as slow wave sleep, or NREM Stage 3. This is the abyssal plane of the sleep ocean, a place of profound stillness where the brain generates slow, high-amplitude delta waves. These waves are not like the choppy ripples of anxiety or the busy currents of thought. They are long, rolling swells, moving with the heavy, majestic power. In this state, it is very difficult to wake up, for you are far removed from the surface world. You are held in the heavy, comforting pressure of deep rest. It is in this profound silence that the body performs its most miraculous healing. The pituitary gland releases bursts of growth hormone, stimulating tissue repair, muscle growth, and immune system strengthening. It is as if, in the cover of this deep darkness, a team of ancient masons emerges to repair the stones of your physical temple, patching the wear and tear of the day while you are entirely unaware. It is the only time when the brain is truly offline to the external world, disconnected from the senses, turned entirely inward. It is a state of pure being, without doing. The delta waves wash over the cortex, synchronizing the firing of neurons in a slow rhythmic chant. This synchronization is thought to help clear the neural pathways, consolidating the facts and skills you learn during the day, moving them from short-term storage into the long-term library of your mind. So, while you float in this dark, heavy water, you are not just resting, you are becoming. You are cementing the memories that make you who you are, building the foundation of your future self in the quiet workshop of the night. But the journey is not a straight line down and back up. After spending time in the deep, heavy waters of restoration, the tide turns, and we begin to rise toward a different kind of layer. We enter the realm of REM sleep, or rapid eye movement. This is the paradox of the night. While the body remains in a state of profound paralysis, a protective mechanism to keep you from acting out your dreams, the brain lights up with activity almost as intense as when you are awake. If the deep sleep was the bottom of the ocean, REM sleep is a vibrant coral reef, teeming with color and life just below the surface. Here, the eyes dart back and forth behind closed lids, scanning a world that exists only within. This is the theater of dreams, where the logic of the waking world is abandoned for the emotional truths of the subconscious. In this vivid state, the brain is not resting, it is processing. It is taking the emotions, the fears, and the hopes of the day and weaving them into narratives. It is a form of emotional first aid, stripping the painful edge off difficult memories and integrating them into the story of your life. It is believed that this stage is essential for our emotional balance. A nightly therapy session where we work through the complexities of being human, and yet, physically, we are safer than ever. The brainstem sends signals to the spinal cord to inhibit movement, effectively anchoring the body to the bed. You are a vessel held perfectly still in the harbor, while the mind explores the wildest storms and the most beautiful landscapes of imagination. It is a beautiful dualism. The body as a stone, the mind as a bird. This entire cycle, from the drifting twilight of stage 1, through the quiet protection of stage 2, down to the heavy restoration of stage 3, and up into the vivid dreams of REM, takes about 90 minutes to complete. Throughout the night, you are not just sleeping, you are traveling. You are completing multiple dives, looping through these chambers of rest. In the earlier part of the night, you spend more time in the deep, heavy delta sleep, prioritizing the healing of the body. As the night goes on and morning approaches, the cycles shift, spending more time in the REM stage. It is a perfectly choreographed dance, a balancing act that adjusts itself based on what you need most. For the light sleeper, knowing this architecture can be a source of great comfort. It reminds us that even if we surface briefly, even if we feel the transition between these stages, the structure remains sound. The ocean is always there. If you wake up, you are simply bobbing on the surface for a moment before the gravity of sleep pulls you back down. You do not have to build the sleep. The building is already standing. You do not have to force the cycle. The wheel is already turning. Your only task is to let go of the resistance, to trust that when you close your eyes, the natural buoyancy of your biology will take you exactly where you need to go. You are an explorer of this inner space, and every night is a new expedition into the quiet, restorative unknown. As we conclude this exploration of the architecture of rest, we can visualize ourselves moving through these stages right now. We can feel the initial drift, the softening of the muscles. We can imagine the sleep spindles weaving their protective nets around us. We can anticipate the heavy, warm blanket of deep sleep waiting to cover us, and we can look forward to the colorful, healing landscapes of our dreams. The structure is safe, the path is worn smooth by millions of years of evolution, and all you have to do is take the first step into the water. As we settle deeper into the architecture of sleep, drifting past the gates of consciousness and floating in the suspended animation of the deep stages, a remarkable transformation begins to take place within the very substance of the brain. For centuries, we believed that sleep was simply a state of dormancy, a time when the brain lay quiet and still, doing nothing but waiting for the morning sun. But recent discoveries have revealed a secret, nocturnal world of activity that is as elegant as it is essential. While you lie motionless, wrapped in the comfort of your blankets, your brain transforms into a diligent and gentle gardener, tending to the landscape of your mind. This is not the busy, noisy work of the day, but a quiet, fluid process of purification, ensuring that the soil of your thoughts remains fertile and clear. We have discovered that deeply hidden within the intricate folds of the brain is a system of plumbing that only opens its gates when you are fast asleep. It is known to science as the glymphatic system, a name that honors the glial cells, the supportive guardians of your neurons. During the waking hours, your brain is a bustling metropolis, filled with the electrical traffic of thoughts. It is so busy managing the world around you that it has no time to clean the streets of its own city. But when the conscious lights go out and the heavy rolling waves of deep sleep take over, the glymphatic system awakens. It is like a network of hidden canals beneath a beautiful, ancient city, filling with cool, clear water to wash away the dust and debris of the day's activity. In this quiet state, a physical change occurs that is almost magical in its precision. The cells of your brain, specifically the glial cells, actually shrink in size. They contract, pulling back from one another to create wider spaces between them, increasing the volume of the interstitial space by up to 60%. You might imagine this as a dense forest where the trees gently draw in their branches at night, opening up the canopy to let the moonlight and the rain reach the forest floor. This opening of the gates is a profound act of biological surrender, a making of space that allows for a deep restorative flow. It reminds us that in order to be healed, we must first make room. We must loosen the tight grip of our physical structure to allow the healing waters to pass through. Once this space has been created, the brain is bathed in a wash of cerebrospinal fluid. This is a clear, colorless liquid that surrounds the brain and spinal cord, acting as a cushion and a nutrient delivery system. But at night, under the cover of sleep, it becomes a cleansing tide, driven by the rhythmic pulsing of your arteries, a pulse that slows and steadies as you sleep. This fluid is pumped deep into the brain tissue. It flows through the newly opened channels, washing over the neurons and the synapses, rinsing away the metabolic waste products that have accumulated during the hours of wakefulness. It is a microscopic tide, rising and falling with the beat of your heart, carrying away the chemical echoes of your stress, your focus, and your efforts. We can visualize this process as a gentle mountain stream flowing over smooth stones. During the day, the stream is perhaps clouded with the silt of activity, but at night, the source becomes pure and the flow becomes steady. The cerebrospinal fluid moves with a cool, hydraulic grace, reaching into the deepest corners of your mind. It collects the proteins and the biological byproducts, the microscopic dust of thinking, and carries them away to the liver, where they can be processed and removed. This is why sleep feels so refreshing, not just mentally but physically. You are literally being washed from the inside out, your mind rinsed clean by a biological river that flows only for you and only when you are at peace. This cleansing process targets specific compounds, such as beta-amyloid, which are natural byproducts of neural activity. While these proteins are a normal part of life, they are like the fallen leaves in a garden. If left to pile up, they clutter the pathways and stifle new growth. The night gardener, this glymphatic system, gently rakes these leaves away, ensuring that the pathways of your memory and cognition remain clear and unobstructed. It is a protective mechanism of the highest order, a daily renewal that preserves the health of your mind for the decades to come. There is a great comfort in knowing that you do not have to do anything to make this happen. You do not have to direct the fluid or command the cells to shrink. You simply have to close your eyes and trust the wisdom of your body to tend to the garden while you dream. As the fluid flows, it follows a path of least resistance, guided by the specialized water channels known as aquaporin. 4. These channels are like the sluice gates of the brain, regulating the movement of water with exquisite sensitivity. They ensure that the cleansing is thorough but gentle, a perfect balance of pressure and flow. In the silence of the night, while the world outside is dark, billions of these tiny gates are opening and closing in a rhythmic dance, orchestrating a symphony of hydration and purity. It is a testament to the fact that even in your deepest vulnerability, when you are most unaware, you are being cared for by a system of immense complexity and benevolence. The body is not passive. It is actively loving you, actively preparing you for a fresh start. This nightly wash is also why the morning often brings a sense of clarity that was missing the night before. We have all experienced the feeling of a foggy mind after a long day, where thoughts feel heavy and decisions feel difficult. That heaviness is the physical weight of metabolic residue, and we have all experienced the miracle of sleeping on it, waking up to find that the problem has dissolved or the answer has become clear. This is not just a metaphor. The night gardener has swept away the fog, polished the lens of your perception, and returned your mind to its natural state of brilliance. The confusion of the previous day has been dissolved in the cerebrospinal tide, leaving behind only the clean, sharp structures of wisdom and understanding. And for the light sleeper, this knowledge offers a new perspective on the moments of wakefulness. If you find yourself stirring in the night, you might worry that you have interrupted this process. But the night gardener is patient. The system is designed to work in cycles, just like the stages of sleep. Even if the flow is paused for a moment, it resumes as soon as you drift back off. The water is always there, waiting at the edge of the banks, ready to flow again. You are not missing out. You are simply taking a pause in the cleaning process. The garden will still be tended. The leaves will still be cleared. You can drift back into the dark, knowing that the fluid is ready to resume its gentle, rhythmic washing the moment you let go. There is also a profound beauty in the connection between this internal flow and the position of your body. Science suggests that this cleansing process works best when we lie on our sides, a posture that mimics the fetal position, the most ancient and primal shape of rest. When you curl up in your bed, aligning your spine and tucking your chin, you are physically optimizing the flow of the lymphatic system. You are aligning the pipes and the channels, working in harmony with gravity to help the night gardener do its work. It is a simple, intuitive act, getting comfortable, that unlocks a complex physiological miracle. It connects you back to the way all mammals sleep, a shared posture of safety that also happens to be a posture of healing. So as we linger in this thought, we can imagine the brain not as a computer turning off, but as a lotus flower floating on a quiet pond. By day, the flower is open to the sun, gathering light and energy. But by night, the petals close, not to hide, but to protect the center and to allow the water of the pond to cradle it. We can feel the cool, soothing sensation of the cerebrospinal fluid circulating through us, a liquid lullaby that sings of purity and renewal. We can thank the night gardener, this silent, tireless worker, for the gift of a clear mind. We can let go of the day's debris, the worries that feel like dust, the stress that feels like grit, and watch them float away on the gentle current, leaving us pristine, empty, and ready to be filled with peace. This internal washing is the ultimate act of forgiveness. The body does not hold on to the stress of yesterday, it washes it away. It does not hoard the byproducts of anxiety, it clears them out. Every night is a chance to be made new, to be returned to a state of biological innocence. You are not the accumulation of your past days. You are the fresh, clean potential of the morning to come. And all you need to do to receive this gift is to yield to the darkness, to the silence, and to the soft, fluid embrace of sleep. As the night gardener tends to the quiet soil of the mind, washing away the dust of the day, we drift toward a part of our nature that is often misunderstood, especially by those who find themselves waking easily in the night. For the light sleeper, the journey into rest can sometimes feel like a fragile truce with the world, a silence that is too easily broken by a creaking floorboard or the distant hum of the street. We often view this sensitivity as a flaw, a glitch in our biology that prevents us from reaching the deep oblivion we crave. But as we look through the lens of evolutionary science, we discover a much kinder, more noble truth. Your wakefulness is not a failure of your body. It is the lingering echo of an ancient and vital responsibility. You are not broken. You are simply designed to listen. We can travel back in our minds to a time long before solid walls and locked doors, to the vast, open savannas where our ancestors first slept beneath the stars. In those early days of humanity, sleep was a collective act, a shared vulnerability. If an entire tribe were to fall into the deepest, heaviest sleep all at once, they would have been left unprotected against the movements of the night. And so, nature devised a brilliant solution known to anthropologists as the Sentinel Hypothesis. The tribe needed guardians. They needed members whose senses remained tuned to the environment, whose threshold for waking was slightly lower, so that at the snap of a twig or the shift of the wind, they could gently rouse and ensure the safety of the group. If you are a light sleeper today, you carry the genetic legacy of these sentinels. You are the descendant of the watchkeepers, the ones who kept the sacred fire burning while the others dreamed. There is a profound dignity in this realization. The brain of a light sleeper is wired with a heightened sensitivity to the environment, a feature that was once the greatest gift one could offer to their community. When you stir at a soft sound, your brain is performing a sophisticated calculation, instantly analyzing the safety of your surroundings. It is a protective mechanism that has shielded your kin for thousands of generations. The insomnia that sometimes frustrates you is actually a form of deep biological care. It is your body saying, "I will keep watch so that we may be safe." You have been the guardian of the night for so long that your biology has not yet realized that the walls of your home are now your shield, and the lock on your door is now your sentry. In this understanding, we can see the arousal threshold not as a barrier to rest, but as a finely tuned instrument. For some, the veil between the conscious and unconscious mind is heavy velvet, blocking out everything. But for you, the Sentinel, the veil is made of sheer silk. It allows the softest breeze of information to pass through, keeping you connected to the pulse of the world. This is not a sign of a restless mind, but of a responsive one. You possess a rare and ancient talent for perception, a quiet ability to remain present even while you drift. The challenge now is not to fight this talent, but to thank it and then to gently explain to it that its watch is over. We see this pattern of asynchronous sleep not just in humans, but across the entire animal kingdom. In a flock of birds resting on a branch, those on the outer edges will often keep one eye open, literally sleeping with half a brain awake to watch over the flock. In a pod of dolphins, there is always movement, always a level of awareness that rotates through the group. Nature rarely sleeps entirely. It naps in shifts. When you find yourself awake at 3 a.m., looking at the ceiling while the rest of the house breathes in deep rhythm, you are simply taking your shift in the timeless rotation of the Earth's sleepers. You are participating in a global rhythm where someone, somewhere, is always awake to hold the space for those who are dreaming. You are part of the great protective circle of life. And still, we know that in our modern world, the need for such vigilance has passed. We live in sanctuaries of brick and glass, protected from the elements and the wild. The ancient tigers are gone, replaced by the quiet hum of electricity and the safety of our blankets. The disconnect we feel comes from a mismatch between our ancient programming and our modern environment. Your inner sentinel is standing guard against a threat that no longer exists. And so, the path to deep sleep for the light sleeper is not to force the eyes shut, but to speak to that inner guardian with compassion. We must acknowledge its presence and grant it permission to stand down. We must treat that alert part of ourselves like a loyal soldier who has been on duty for too long, gently taking the spear from their hand and telling them the gates are closed. The fire is warm. You can rest now. There is a soothing practice in visualizing this transition. You can imagine yourself sitting by that ancient tribal fire, the embers glowing soft and red in the darkness. You can feel the warmth on your face and see the sleeping forms of your family and friends around you. You, the sentinel, have been watching the horizon for hours, listening to the wind in the tall grass. But now, another guardian has come to take your place. Perhaps it is the spirit of the house itself, or the moon watching from above. You can feel the weight of responsibility lifting from your shoulders. You are no longer required to listen. The night is safe. The silence is not a void to be filled with vigilance, but a blanket to be pulled up to your chin. As we reframe this sensitivity, we also discover that light sleepers often have a unique capacity for vivid dreaming and creativity. Because the veil is thinner, the crossover between the waking world and the dream world is more fluid. The same sensitivity that wakes you up also allows you to access the rich, intuitive landscapes of your subconscious more easily. You are a bridge builder between the day and the night. When you do drift off, your dreams may be more textured, more colorful, and more emotionally resonant. Your sleep is not worse than the heavy sleepers. It is simply different, lighter perhaps, but also more porous to the whispers of imagination. You are drifting on a raft rather than a submarine, feeling the gentle motion of the water more acutely, but still held by the current. We can also find comfort in the fact that sleep is not an all-or-nothing game. Even when you feel like you are merely dozing or resting with your eyes closed, you are receiving immense benefits. Science tells us that quiet wakefulness, that state of lying still and resting, provides significant restoration to the body and mind. Your muscles are relaxed, your energy is being conserved, and your brain is in a state of calm processing. You do not need to be unconscious to be resting. If you wake in the night, do not panic. Do not check the time. Simply remind yourself that resting in the dark is enough. You are bathing in the quiet, soaking in the stillness, and that too is a form of healing. The anxiety of not sleeping is often the very thing that keeps us awake. We worry that we are failing at sleep. But if we embrace the identity of the Sentinel, the worry evaporates. You are not failing. You are functioning exactly as nature designed you to function in a dangerous world. The only difference is that now, you are safe. You are safe to let the weapon drop. You are safe to let the fire burn down to embers. You are safe to close both eyes and trust that the world will be there when you wake. The vigilance that served your ancestors so well is a beautiful part of your heritage. But tonight, it is a uniform you can take off. So, as we float in this realization, let us offer a final reassurance to the listener who hears every creak and rustle. Those sounds are not alarms. They are the lullaby of a safe home. The settling of the house is the sound of shelter. The distant traffic is the sound of civilization keeping watch, so you don't have to. You can outsource your vigilance to the walls, to the roof, to the locks. You can thank your inner sentinel for their service, bow to them in gratitude, and then invite them to lie down beside you. The watch is over. The night is yours, and deeper still, we can feel a sense of connection to all the other sentinels who are awake right now. You are not alone in the dark. You are part of a vast, silent community of gentle souls who are keeping the night watch. But one by one, as the safety of the modern night sinks in, the sentinels, the fires are being banked. The tribe is safe. And you, the loyal guardian, are finally free to drift into the deep, unguarded sleep you have earned. As we gently relieve the sentinel of its duty, allowing the inner watchman to lay down beside the fire, we begin to feel a connection to something far greater than our own solitary rest. We often think of sleep as a private act, a withdrawal into a small, personal room of darkness. But as we cast our minds outward, beyond the walls of our homes and into the wild, breathing world, we discover that we are participating in a vast, synchronized ritual. To sleep is not to separate yourself from the world. It is to join the universal rhythm of the planet itself. Tonight, we drift out to meet the other sleepers, finding comfort in the knowledge that every living thing, from the moss on the forest floor to the great leviathans of the deep, bows its head to the power of rest. We can turn our gaze first to the oceans, where the concept of sleep takes on a fluid, weightless form. In the deep, sapphire silence of the sea, the great whales and dolphins engage in a form of rest known to science as unihemispheric slow-wave sleep. Because they must consciously breathe to survive, They cannot shut down entirely. Instead, they sleep with one half of their brain at a time, allowing the other half to gently guide them to the surface for air. We can visualize a pod of sperm whales drifting vertically in the water column, suspended like silent pillars in a cathedral of blue. They hang there, motionless and serene, held in the buoyancy of the salt water. It is a profound image of trust, to let go of the struggle against gravity and simply float. For them, sleep is not a stillness of the mind, but a harmony of motion, a slow, rhythmic dance where consciousness and unconsciousness hold hands. And as we drift with them, we realize that this aquatic slumber carries a beautiful lesson for us. The whale does not fear the depth, nor does it fear the need to breathe. It integrates rest into the very act of living. It tells us that we do not need to solve every problem or finish every task before we can rest. We can simply drift. We can let parts of our mind shut down, while the essential rhythm of our breath keeps us safe. You are like the whale in your own ocean of air. Your breath will continue, your heart will beat, and the buoyancy of your bed will hold you. You're free to let the heavy, thinking half of your brain go dark, knowing that the automatic, life-giving currents will sustain you through the night. Moving from the depths of the ocean to the quiet embrace of the forest, we find that the plant kingdom too has its own silent bedtime story. Science calls this phenomenon nyctanasty, the nastic movement of plants in response to the onset of darkness. If you were to stand in a meadow at twilight, you would see the flowers slowly folding their petals inward, closing the curtains of their delicate interiors to protect the pollen within. This is not a passive drooping, but an active, rhythmic curling, a preparation for the cold and the dew of the night. It is a gesture of self-care, a way for the flower to conserve its warmth and its scent for the return of the sun. It reminds us that closing ourselves off from the world for a few hours is not an act of weakness, but a necessary preservation of our beauty and our energy. Even the mighty trees, standing tall and stoic, are not immune to the call of slumber. Recent studies using laser scanners have revealed that during the night, trees actually relax their branches. As the sun sets, the turgor pressure within the plant cells decreases, and the branches droop by several inches, as if the tree is exhaling a long, slow breath. The birch, the oak, and the pine all settle into a state of physical relaxation, softening their posture under the light of the moon. It is a comforting thought to imagine the forest at night not as a rigid collection of wood, but as a gathering of sleeping giants, their arms lowered in rest, their leaves still. If the ancient trees, with roots deep in the earth and crowns touching the sky, meet to soften and droop to survive, then surely you too can allow your shoulders to drop and your muscles to release their hold. And as the seasons turn, the earth itself enters a form of deep, prolonged sleep. We see this in the phenomenon of hibernation, a state of torpor where animals lower their body temperature and slow their heart rates to a fraction of their normal beat. The bear in the den and the frog in the mud are not merely waiting. They are entering a state of suspended animation, a profound trust in the cycle of time. They surrender their agency to the winter, knowing that the only way to endure the cold is to be still. This is a powerful metaphor for our own difficult times. Sometimes, the most productive thing we can do is nothing. Sometimes, when the winter of the mind sets in, the answer is not to fight the cold, but to curl up, to slow down, and to wait for the inevitable return of the spring. Sleep is the bridge that carries life across the gap of darkness, but the rhythm of rest extends even beyond the biosphere of our planet, reaching out into the cold, quiet vacuum of the cosmos. Our own star, the sun, follows an 11-year cycle of activity and rest, shifting between periods of intense solar storms and periods of solar minimum, where the surface is calm and quiet. Even the stars, those burning engines of fusion, and on a grander scale, the galaxies themselves are drifting through the void in a slow cosmic slumber. We live in a universe that is not frantic, but majestic in its slowness. The rotation of the Milky Way takes hundreds of millions of years to complete one turn. It is a motion so vast that it feels like stillness. To look up at the night sky is to look into the face of a peace that has existed for eons. This cosmic perspective offers a final, soothing realization for the light sleeper. You are made of the same elements as the stars and the trees. The carbon in your cells, the iron in your blood, the oxygen in your lungs, it is all recycled stardust. Therefore, the laws that govern the stars and the tides govern you too. You are not separate from the universe, struggling to find rest in a chaotic void. You are a piece of the universe, returning to its natural state. Your desire to sleep is the gravity of the cosmos pulling you gently back to center. When you close your eyes, you are obeying the same law that makes the planets spin and the tides roll. You are falling into step with the great, silent march of existence. We can imagine, for a moment, that your breath is synchronized with the pulse of this universal slumber. As you inhale, you are drawing in the peace of the sleeping forest. As you exhale, you are releasing your tension into the vast, absorbing ocean. As you lie still, you are mirroring the quiet branches of the birch tree. As you drift, you are floating with the whales in the deep. You are never sleeping alone. You are accompanied by a billion other breaths, a billion other heartbeats, all slowing down in unison. The night is not empty. It is full of this shared, quiet energy. It is a crowded room of friends, all resting, all safe, all dreaming together in the dark. There is a concept in philosophy called the music of the spheres, the idea that the movements of celestial bodies create a form of inaudible music, a perfect harmony of proportions. Tonight, sleep is your way of listening to that music. It is a song that can only be heard when the noise of the conscious mind dies down. It is a low, humming vibration that resonates in the silence. It says that you are here, you are held, and you are part of the pattern. The anxiety of being awake fades when we realize that wakefulness is just a temporary wave, while sleep is the ocean. The ocean is always there, vast and deep and waiting to receive you. So, as we reach the end of our journey through the science of sleep, we stand at the threshold of the ultimate rest. We have traveled from the internal tides of your hormones, through the deep architecture of your brain waves, past the cleansing streams of the glymphatic system, and through the ancient wisdom of the Sentinel. We have floated with the whales and rested with the trees. And now, we see that all these paths lead to the same place. Here, to this moment, to this bed, to this breath. The universe has conspired, in all its complexity and grandeur, to bring you to this single point of perfect safety. You are the beneficiary of billions of years of biological engineering, all designed to catch you when you fall. The net is woven. The lights are dimmed. The guard has been relieved. The garden has been watered. The stars are watching. There is nothing left to understand, nothing left to learn, and nothing left to do. The knowledge we have shared tonight is not a burden to carry, but a boat to sail in. And the water is calm. The current is gentle. The direction is down, deep into the warm, velvety dark. We let go of the names of things. We let go of melatonin, adenosine, and circadian rhythms. We let the words dissolve into sound, and the sound dissolve into silence. We are no longer students of science. We are simply sleepers. We are stardust that has decided to close its eyes. And in that decision, there is the greatest peace of all. Thank you for drifting through the quiet science of rest with me tonight. We have wandered deep into the cellular oceans of your own body, feeling the gentle pull of the internal tides that rise and fall with the moon. We have walked through the silent gardens of the mind, watching the leaves of memory being swept away by cool, cleansing waters. We have honored the ancient sentinel within you, that loyal guardian who has kept watch for so long, and we have finally given them permission to rest by the fire. And we have cast our gaze upward and outward, finding our place among the sleeping forests, the drifting whales, and the slow-turning galaxies. We have discovered that sleep is not an empty void, but a rich, living connection to the rhythm of the entire universe. It is a profound comfort to know that you do not have to force yourself to sleep, just as you do not have to force the tide to go out or the stars to shine. You are part of a vast, automatic symphony of rest. The biology that holds you is ancient, wise, and infinitely capable. You are held by forces much larger than your worries, and you are supported by a system that loves you enough to repair you, night after night. If these calm, curious explorations help you unwind, I invite you to like or subscribe. It helps other sleepy souls find their way here, too. And now, let all of that drift away. Let the science, the facts, and the images dissolve like sugar in warm water. You do not need to remember anything we have spoken of tonight. Your body knows the way without a map. Your mind has done enough work for today, and the library is now closing. Let the heavy velvet curtains of the night be drawn across your thoughts. Feel the weight of your body sinking deeper into the mattress, as if the bed is rising up to meet you. Allow your breathing to become the only sound in your world, a soft, rhythmic hush that mimics the slow waves of a midnight sea. With every breath out, you are releasing the last of the day's tension. With every breath in, you are drinking in the stillness. There is nowhere else you need to be. There is nothing else you need to solve. You are safe. You are held. You are ready. Close your eyes, let go of the shore, and drift into the deep, healing silence. Good night.